Okay, good evening, everyone. Can I have the roll call, please?
Adam.
Here.
Ganaway. Gibson. Here. Kapler. Here. Ormsby. Here. Stoltenberg.
Here.
Wendland.
Here. All right, we had minutes from the last meeting.
I'll move for approval of minutes.
Second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from November 16th, 2022. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, the minutes from November 16th are approved. All right, so I see a few folks in the audience tonight. So we are a recommending body appointed by the city council to review site plans, land use and zoning and such. So if you have a particular case that you're interested, we'd love to hear your comments. The procedure will be first I'll get comments from the plan and zone, and then I'll recognize the audience. And if we could pick you up back at the microphone to my right and your left to get the comments on the record, that would be great. I've got one other order of business before we get going. This is Mr. Joe Adamo's last meeting with us. We thank you for your service. You're going to warmer pastures down south for parts of the year, so thank you for your service. You've been an excellent addition to the Plan and Zone Commission. We thank you for that.
Thank you for the opportunity to serve. Thank you for the fellow board members from your collaboration and to the city staff. We have an excellent city thanks to all your good efforts. So it's a great place to live.
Been a pleasure.
So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Best wishes. All right, with that, Taylor, we will begin.
All right, first case on the agenda is 22-094. This is a final plat for Sun Home Second Edition. This is located north of State Street, just at the intersection of 33rd Street. The first edition is shown here with the blue outline, and then the changes for the second edition are shown with the green outline. The applicant is Sun Home Living Trust, Pat Sundholm. This is currently both lots. It's a two-lot subdivision, are both in commercial use with one building on each lot. The plat simply proposes a boundary line adjustment transferring roughly 70 by 150 feet from lot 2 to lot 1. This area is zoned C3 general business, shown in the future land use as community commercial. There is some residential to the north and then industrial on the south side of State Street. The first edition is shown here. We have one building on each lot and the lot line right here. The second edition, which is to be considered, is simply moving the lot line to the east by 70 feet. That transfers roughly 7,500 square feet from lot 2 to lot 1. Currently, this space, as shown in the aerial, contains 10 to 15 parking spaces. It's a bit hard to say with the lines. This plat does contain a driveway access easement on lot 2 on the far east side for that large residential tract to the north, and that is shown on this plat. With this new lot line between lot 1 and 2, the existing building on lot 2, former Quad City Pizza, will preserve a 17-foot roughly side yard setback. With that, staff sees no issues with this and is recommending approval of this final plat. So case number 22-094, and I can take any questions.
All right, thank you, Taylor. Questions and comments from the commission, please. I've got just one while you've got it open there. Will there be any need for or provision in this for any kind of cross-access easement across the front there? Because it's essentially giving up one of the driveways of the 3 it appears they have today.
So staff, there's 2 curb cuts per se from State Street to lot 2. Lot 1 will gain a full access, and then they still have it appears to be a shared one to the far west of their lot. There's from the zoning staff, there's no need for a shared access. There's no fencing or there's no physical change on these lots. It's simply a platting at this time. There may be a future development, but that will have to come before this board.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else on the commission? No? Anyone in the audience with regard to this matter? Nope. All right, we'll come back to the commission.
Mr. Chairman, I
Oh, go
move to
ahead.
approve case 22-094, subject to staff recommendations.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve case 22094, Sunholm Second Edition Final Plat, Replat. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, 22094 is recommended for approval. Okay, Taylor?
All right. This presentation will, I'll present on two cases here, both related, 22-096 and 22-075. This is a final plat for Pierce subdivision and a related site development plan. This subdivision, the preliminary plat for this subdivision came before this body and was approved last meeting. The applicant is Scott Pierce, Blue Water Group. This parcel is located, the tract of land is located southeast of Valley Drive near the intersection of Valley View Drive. Currently, this is undeveloped in ag use. The plat proposes 4 lots, 3 developable, and then 1 outlot. The proposed uses for this subdivision are industrial contractor condos and an industrial distribution headquarters and storage. Future land use contemplates this area as industrial, has been for many decades. The current zoning is our general I-2 industrial zoning district. Across the street, there are residents on Valley View Drive, Pine Brook Lane. They're all in our rural residential agricultural A2 zone district, and then some undeveloped tracts are in A1. This area is shown in the 100-year floodplain and has some regulatory floodway in it as well. Nearly the whole tract is in the 100-year floodplain. With that, there are certain requirements the city and the DNR and FEMA require, as far as no fill in the regulatory floodway, which is the striped area along Pigeon Creek. And then any fill or grading, any development whatsoever that happens in the 100-year floodplain, flood permits would need to be required. And staff is also recommending a comment letter from FEMA on the development prior to any grading or construction. Shown here is the preliminary plat that was reviewed last month. There is a dedicated right-of-way for this development due to the overall concept and the intensity. It'd also potentially in the future allow, if any future development happens to the southeast, would have, there'd be access from Valley Drive to US 67 State Street. But at this time, it will just be built on this development. The final plat changes very little from the preliminary plat. There is a reconfiguration of the lots 2 and 3. Lot 3 now has all frontage north of the proposed Valley View Drive right-of-way, and then Lot 2 is contained here. Access easements are shown, so these are private access drives, are shown connecting to the proposed right-of-way that allows access to Lots 2 and 3, and also the outlot. Then Lot 1 gains access directly from that proposed right-of-way. Moving on to the site plan. This is the overall site plan, so the whole concept. As mentioned, I can zoom in a little bit. The contractor condos are shown on Lot 3, so you have those delineated in these 6 units. Some have 5 to 6 units, multiple buildings. Lot 2 would contain a larger headquarters, and then Lot 1 would also have building, is all future development. What's contemplated just under review tonight are 2 of the contractor condo buildings, shown in dark gray. The requirements for the overall site plan, as far as access, due to fire code, 2 accesses are required, but at this time, they're only going to build 1 private drive lane for those 2 buildings with a temporary hammerhead turnaround. The right-of-way will be built and have a temporary turnaround as well at the property line until future development happens. And then, again, any future development from that overall site plan will need to come through for site, individual site plans, or if they do it all at once, one large site plan for this body and then council approval. Landscaping, there's landscaping shown on this plan along the creek. Currently, the creek, Pigeon Creek, has a lot of brush that provides screening to Valley Drive. It's pretty thick. So there's vegetation already there, but there are plantings proposed. Parking is shown. These are large garage door condos with a person door as well. So the parking's lined up in each unit, and then there's no parking in front of the garage door. We've got a rendering right here. It kind of shows those garage doors and then the person door, some windows. And then the overall floor plan, so each unit will have a bathroom, and it won't be altered. So it's per the lease, the person that's leasing these or buying these. And then it has a large garage door and that person door as well. With that, staff recommends approval of the final plat for the Pierce subdivision. That's case 22-096. Staff is also recommending approval of the site development plan for proposed here for 2 contractor condos, case 22-075, with the following conditions. Any future development on the site will require local floodplain development permits. The applicant must submit and receive comment letter request to FEMA prior to grading development or construction commences. And I can take any questions.
Thank you, Taylor. Appreciate it. Questions and comments from the commission, please.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Taylor, with the work that's going to happen right now, can you show us on this screen where the access will be constructed just for this phase? And then how is that going to work with fire access?
So this is the overall site plan, and I believe they shaded it. It's hard to see in this rendering. But that's how the overall concept, the future development concept, we'll call it. They are building, they will have this full private drive loop, and then another loop around this building, and then they have the right-of-way right here.
Okay, so at this time, the grading will take place for the whole, for lot 1 and 2?
Yeah,
or
so
is it?
Taylor,
Okay.
if you don't mind, they are going to grade the entire property. Actually, I believe grading might have already started. I know the silt fence installation's up, which they're allowed to do. All the access will be off Valley, the extension of Valley View Drive. So that will be built as part of this project.
That's a city street?
Yep, that will be a
Okay.
city street that's dedicated right away. And then, yep, so what Taylor just highlighted there, and then what he's about to show will be the driveway access. That'll be permanent paving, whether it's concrete or asphalt. That's, whatever they choose. And then there is a fire lane in there as well. That's the second access point. There you
So
go.
that's half the loop?
Yep.
Okay,
That'll at least get the second access point for here that
Private
will
drive.
eventually extend all the way around to the northeast.
okay. So that provides adequate access for anything that would happen within those 2 buildings right now?
And a hammer at the end so we can turn around.
Turn around, okay.
Emergency.
All right, thank you.
I had a question about the off-street parking. It says the off-street parking schedule requires 1 space for each 2 employees plus 1 for each work vehicle. The total required is 24 is shown. So off-street parking, that's different than the parking that's shown on here?
So
Like
and correct me if I'm wrong, Taylor, but the off-street would be what you see in front of the buildings, and I think we also credited them some for the interior space as well, right? Yeah.
The garage door, you could park inside as well. So the parking space is shown in front of the buildings. That's your off-street parking. Yeah, no different than it's a parking lot. Yeah.
And then you said there's some in the interior of the buildings as well?
Yeah, because each of the units has the overhead door, so it has space for at least 1, if not multiple vehicles.
Okay, thanks.
Taylor, on the site plan that we're approving tonight, I see some trees or bushes or something that are noted kind of along the creek line in that. how can I tell what's green space in this site plan?
Right, basically 90% of the site plan's still green. So you have, all that's being paved is the city street, the driveway access, and parking for the two buildings, and then the temporary turnaround. Everything else is still green.
Are you saying they're leaving the existing brush that's kind of there already and then adding these plantings as
They'll
well?
probably clear it, and my guess, well, the field itself will all be green. That'll all get
Seed or
graded
sod.
out, because they've got to bring it up and then seeded. And then they have already been looking at doing a little bit of clearing with some of the dead underbrush. But yes, the overwhelming majority of the property will still be green after this phase is built.
And in the grading that's occurring now, will this detention pond be created? Okay, so that'll be active,
Yep, and that is
On
sized
the
for
fir-
the full
first-
development.
okay.
That way it's built once.
So when we come in then on Valley View Drive, off of Valley Drive, right there, and then we've got that open patch to the north or west, whichever we call that, or east, I don't know what direction we're going right there, that piece. Is that going to be permanent green space, or is that a future building lot, is what we're approving tonight?
I think the part right at the intersection of Valley Drive and Valley View is permanent green space, but then the large area where Lot 2 is actually labeled, that's a future development
Okay,
space.
Yeah, this shown here is that future development. So I think, Chairman, you're referring to this area right here.
right.
So I would assume that is shown as, it's not shown green, but it's shown as open space, green space. The plantings end, there are plantings actually along here. There would need to be sight lines for that intersection, so I'm not so sure about the last tree. But typically on our landscape plans, we do not specify the trees in the exact space where they're shown, in the feet.
And I'm just looking at it now. I mean, today, a lot of that section in there is cornfield or pumpkin patch or other things in there. And there's a couple single-family houses directly across the street. Farther down where the creek is, that's all brush and pretty well obscured, but it'll still maintain a pretty decent view for the people in the single family across the street if it won't be built. And if it was going to be built, and that was part of the site plan, then it'd be saying, okay, are you berming it or something to give it some kind of, yeah, there we go, some kind of
Some additional
screening.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Any others from the commission? No? Anyone in the audience with regard to this matter? Okay, the bear's got the first arm up, so he can go back there and get the podium.
Gentleman here, I thought you mentioned something about condos.
Nope, I gotta,
You talked residential.
hang on, I gotta get you back on the podium there so we can pick you up. We're gonna get,
I can speak louder.
well, and we got a microphone back there, and then everybody can see you on TV and you're gonna become famous, so.
I'm already famous.
Name and address.
Yeah, give us our name and address, and then we can capture that.
John Jones, 6516 Valley Drive. So as I was saying, I think his name's Mark, is that correct?
Taylor.
This gentleman?
That's Taylor.
Oh, Taylor, sorry. So I heard you mention the word condo. Are you talking residential or are you talking industrial? That's my question.
This is strictly, this is industrial
Okay.
condos, so,
All right,
yeah.
What they call contractor condos.
gotcha.
Yep,
All right, thank you.
you're welcome.
Pretty much like a storage and office space for contractors or subcontractors.
Use your microphone.
That's
No,
okay.
we got you. That's perfect. Yes, sir.
I'm John Shutter, and we've got planned on joining that. But we have an easement through this property. And your fill may disturb this easement right away with myself and Mr. Dodds here. With your fill, we don't want us to be a retaining pond on the one side. So I want you to take that in consideration if you're raising this property 2 or 3 feet. They're gonna raise our easement, and how are they gonna keep our easement open?
Okay, and can I ask you, is that a recorded easement that's out there for that?
We have the, yes.
Okay, so that shows up on the title, the engineers here. and-
It's shown on the final plat.
Okay, I saw a
There's
reference to a
driveway
private,
access.
private road.
Yep,
So
private drive.
I anticipate a problem with this. You're raising this ground that much. Our easement will be below maybe 3 feet of your fill.
After you ask the question, I see the engineers here for them, and we're going to ask him to address that for us.
And then the other question, you're bringing this road down through here. Are you going to be bringing the sewer and water with the road? Because this road is to continue down through Mr. Dodds and me. I have the access to the other highway. So,
They are required to bring sewer into their lot. And then water would ultimately be up to the water company, but most likely I would assume it will come in.
to each owner.
So they have to bring it to the edge of their property or within a short
Yeah,
distance.
to the next property.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So just to be clear, Brent, so do they have to bring it just off Valley into their property or all the way?
No, just to the edge of their property, this current piece of property.
Okay, so not all the way to your property
still
or
one over
Mr.
Mr.
Dodds,
Dodds,
but into their property. And then if one of you guys wanted to extend it, they would have to extend it from that point forward?
Correct.
Catch me again on that. They're bringing it to Mr. Dodds' property?
No.
They have to bring it to basically the edge of their property, so that way,
They're-
future
what?
development, it would.
They're
in
coming
this
into
case,
their
be Mr.
property
Dodd.
anyway, though, to pick up their buildings.
Yes, so when I say the edge of the, Taylor, can you highlight the southeast property line, basically the shared property line? Yeah, they have to bring it to some edge on the screen there of the black line.
Okay. Not the Valley Drive line.
Correct. It has to come into the property and be able to be extended for future development.
Okay.
They'll be able to do that.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I guess that's answers some of my questions. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have a topography map, Brent, of that area by chance?
I mean, the site plan shows it. It's honestly pretty flat through
Well,
there right
yeah, I
now.
mean, I
Plus,
see
then you
it
have the
on the
fill.
site
But
plan.
I think Chris can speak to the driveway fill that we needed.
Yeah, hi, Chris Townsend, Townsend Engineering. Yeah, so that access easement, and really realistically now we'll have a right-of-way, a public right-of-way that will have permanent access from Valley Drive down to your property. So really that access, existing easement isn't even needed, but say it is and you want to maintain that, the building has to be 2 feet above the floodplain elevation, but the parking doesn't. So we can transition that back down to, and we have to anyway, down to that property line, that west property line. So we'll transition that with that site plan design for lot 1, I believe. Is that lot 1? For lot 1. So yeah, no, won't be an issue as far as grading goes, but really you'll have way better access to that property through the actual public right-of-way, which will be good.
His is first. I have.
Yeah, okay, to that property, to that property.
Right. Keep that.
Right. Yep, we'll transition, right, our whole property will transition down to his property if his
50 years though,
years for,
before this happens. Before I develop it.
right, yep, exactly. So we'll keep the other property's intact. We will not impact that whatsoever. As a matter of fact, the drainage from this property won't even drain onto that property because it has to go to the detention basin. So you're actually,
How far away is the detention basin from Mr. Dodge's property?
so the detention is in the,
Looks like it's.
there you go. Yep,
Looks like he's on the edge.
exactly, yep.
It'll be very close to it.
It's
Yep.
very close. Yep.
And they're
it
allowed to.
outlets
There's
into
no
the creek.
required setbacks for any of that infrastructure. Now, they have to be able to build it from their own property without crossing the property line.
Okay. Anyone else with regard to this case? All right, back to the commission. Hey, one just clarification, Lisa, on the agenda, it references item 7 as case 22-097, but in the documents, it's
096.
075. Because we've got 096,
75.
so number 7 is really 075. Gotcha, okay. Now we can go to the commission for recommendations, motions, for two of them.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move for approval of case number 22-096, which is the final plat, subject to staff recommendations.
Okay,
I'll second that.
thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve case 22-096, final plat. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, 22-096 is recommended for approval.
And then I will also move for approval of case number 22-075, the site development plan, subject to staff recommendations.
I'll second that too.
All right, thanks, Joe. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve case 22-075, site plan development. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. 22-075 is recommended for approval. Okay, Taylor?
Okay. Next case is 22-095. This is a site development plan located 2306 56th Avenue West. The applicant is Steve Gaifman. Currently, this is at the intersection of 56th Avenue West and 18th Street. There's currently a development on Lot 1 of Gaifman's 56th Avenue Development, 3rd Edition. This is a building proposal for Lot 2. This building will contain 2 units. The uses are financial planning and oral surgery. Shown here is the current building on the west on Lot 1, and then Lot 2, you have the proposed building with those 2 units. The access, so currently it'll be directly accessed off 18th Street, but also through Lot 1, there's an access on 56th Avenue West. The financial planning unit shows it's 6,800 square feet and the surgery at 8,000 square feet. This area is located in the Community Commercial C2 zoning district and shown as urban medium intensity UMI on our future land use map. There is a residential subdivisions to the east and to the north. There's also a creek setback and a creek located just to the north. So that provides a buffer. It's located in the outlot of the subdivision. Both uses are permitted in the C2 district. All development, as just mentioned, complies with that 50-foot stream bank setback, so it's delineated kind of here. There's one screen dumpster shown on the north of the building, located here. Access via 18th Street and through Lot 1, which connects to 56th Avenue West, is shown. There are 60 parking spaces provided. Per the off-street parking schedule and the identified uses, 53 are required, so they have a little more parking than needed, or than required by code. There is a service walk, which I want to point out, that connects to existing sidewalk on 56th Avenue West, that will connect to the frontages of the front doors of those buildings. Right here, so one parking space is striped, so no one parks there, and there'll be access for pedestrians to those buildings from the sidewalk. The sidewalk on 18th Street is existing as well, as is the curb cut. So this is just developing that current lot. Stormwater and landscaping. All stormwater will be contained in an existing pond located in the outlot for the subdivision. The landscaping plan shows more than required tree factors. They're adding trees. There's also existing trees here that they're using for credit, and they're relocating some as well. The applicant noted they will install some additional screening on the north edge, right behind that dumpster, to provide some additional screening from the north residential area. But buffering is, with that outlot, there's plenty of buffer space and some existing screening already there with the ravine. Elevation renderings are shown here. So there's no criteria or no design criteria for this. It's not an overlay district, but just to give you an idea of what it's going to look like. And with that, Staff recommends approval of case 22-095, site development plan for Lot 2 of Giefman's 56th Avenue Development, 3rd edition. I can take any questions.
All right, thank you, Taylor, appreciate it. Questions and comments from the commission? Wow, it's the end of the year, you guys are all like fading away.
I would add a comment that I think this is turning into a beautiful corridor out there.
I
It's
agree.
nice to see
Yeah, that whole
this
stretch
whole
there.
stretch being
Yeah.
developed. I think it's a great fit for that area, and it's nice to see. Other than a big fat rat that lives up the street once in a while, it's a nice area.
Yeah, no, I like it. Even just the meandering sidewalk and other things give it some interest, so it's nice looking. Yep, agreed. Huh, all right. Anyone in the audience with regard to this case? Okay, back to the commission.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve case number 22-095, subject to staff recommendations.
Second?
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve case 22-095, site development plan for 56th Avenue West. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. 22-095 is recommended for approval, which I think brings us to commission update.
I might add, there's one more item on the agenda, number 8. Just want to acknowledge that the applicant requested deferment for the next meeting.
Yep.
So that's case 22-097, 3150 Glenbrook Circle South. So we are accepting and deferring that to the January 18th, 2023 meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you. Commission update?
Art took off and left me with nothing, so.
Man,
I believe everything that's been on the last 2 agendas, I know there were several items on the December 5th city council agenda that all went through. So I don't believe there's anything else.
okay, good. All right. I guess that's all for the good of the order for 2022. Thank you, everybody, for your participation and help this year. It's been another good year in Bettendorf. I hope you got your shovels and salt ready. Yes, sir, you had another question?
I do, if I could go back to, I don't remember the case number, the one by Pine Brook and Valley Drive.
Yeah, well, go ahead. We'll ask the question back there, sure.
I'll go back to the microphone.
We already approved it, but we'll answer the
Pretty
question.
good acoustics. My only question, the only other question I have is, when they put in the creek, that I think it's Pigeon Creek, goes right behind my house, it's got a ridiculous right angle turn when it goes across Valley Drive, which makes it flow really poorly. And I'm wondering if they're gonna do this development, is there any chance they're going to maybe, make it the culvert bigger or possibly smooth out the turn? It would just make everything flow better, less chance of flooding.
So who made the creek? I thought God made the creek, but,
I don't know who made the creek, I know,
Okay.
but somebody made the crossing.
all right, yeah. So,
Creek didn't just go underneath the highway.
Chris, is there any plan to do any change with the creek?
No, exactly. It's a federally regulated creek that we would not be able to make changes other than to try to stem some of the erosion. That's basically all we can do.
Waters
Or
of the
possibly make
USA?
the, where the opening is, possibly make that bigger.
Potentially, but
For-
obviously that'd be a significant city project, not tied to the development.
Well, that's all I've got, people. I've only been to one of these meetings ever, so I'm not used to it, so.
That's okay.
No,
Thanks
I'm
for
glad
Thank
you
you for your
came.
time.
We'd have you back again. Yep, thank you. All right. With that, we are adjourned for